The Struggling Artist Record Club is a vinyl record subscription service where I hunt and curate the best punk and punk-adjacent music out there and mail their record to your door each and every month. Imagine finding your new favorite band from across the country without ever having to leave the house. It doesn't get much better than that. The excitement of discovering new music just got that much easier. As a member of the Struggling Artist Record Club, you are going to receive some of the best music you've ever heard from bands you may never even heard of. Whether you've been collecting records for years or just starting out, the Struggling Artist Record Club is designed specifically for you. And right now, all new members get a Struggling Artist Record Club exclusive along with the monthly selection. So head to StrugglingArtistRecordClub.com, pick a membership, and start building that collection today.
You're listening to the Struggling Artist Podcast.
People need to be entertained. They need the distraction.
With your host, Trev Allen.
I wish to God that somebody would do something to block out the voices in my head for 5 minutes.
Hello, everybody. Danny Carney. I gotta say that again. Emmy Award-winning Danny Carney has returned to the podcast to talk about his new album, Scorpio Rising, due out in this spring. Stick around to the end of the episode to hear a brand new song from the record. Danny was kind enough to give us one to play, so we'll play that on the flip side of this. It was absolutely awesome to catch up with Danny. It had been too long since he's been on the podcast. Apparently I thought he was on the podcast for his last release, but we did that with the Get Punk podcast. So apologies to Danny for that. This is episode 328 of the Struggling Artist Podcast. Struggling with the return of Danny Carney, Chainsaw Symphony. You're going on my resume, dude. I'm going to be like, yeah, I had multi-Emmy Award winner Danny Carney on my podcast.
Yeah. Still waiting for music awards. I don't know how I ended up getting. Yeah, but whatever. Life's very interesting.
I had someone on the podcast recently who was considered. Does that mean like they're not quite like?
Is that like pre-nom? Like it's
I think that might be pre-nom. I don't know, but I had someone that and he was like, I have no idea. He's like, talk to the label. They're the ones that. He's like,
what this dude, for a Grammy or something?
Yeah. So he got it. He had gotten that, and like this. I mean, this guy, he's awesome. He like lives in his truck. You know what I mean? Like he's the real deal. You know what I'm saying? Like he does. I'm like, so where are you based out of? He's like, nowhere. My truck. But yeah, he had gotten the consideration thing, which is pretty cool. You know?
Yeah.
His album blew me away last year too. So it was just like, whew. But yeah, dude. It's been a minute. I was thinking about the last time you were on. It wasn't last year, right? Year before?
No, I think it was early the year before, like 2022. Was it 2020? I had just released, I think, that acoustic album, Summer of '78.
You didn't come back for 10 Beer Queer?
No. I was going through the timeline in my brain, and I thought I had, but I think that was actually with you and Mark for the other podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because I definitely talked to you about 10 Beer Queer, but I looked up the last time I was on Struggling Artists, and it was a year before that. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for having me back for a third time, by the way. I hope I'm.
Of course, I would have had you back for the last album. It must have slipped through the cracks because we did do something. It just wasn't for this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, because we even did something for your cassette Bagels, right? We did something for Bagels.
That was the same episode. I had sort of released Bagels and Summer of '78 like within a few months.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
I think it was kind of the in between.
Well, you know what really messed me up is that Danny Carney, Chainsaw Symphony, didn't release a record last year. So
I know, it's kind of crazy. I did release a single. I had always I had to release something, and I've never released something in the summer. So I was like, oh, I'll do a single and just kind of like put all my weight into that, and that was really fun because it was obviously a lot less taxing than putting together a whole record. And it was a busy lot going on outside of music, so it was crazy not to put out an album last year, and now I'm gearing up to finally put another one out this year. So I'm excited.
That's awesome, dude. You're just like an endless tank of songs. You know, it's I love doing it, but it's also non-optional. It just you got to do it, right?
Yeah.
So Barn Burner, that's what came out last year.
Yeah, which was like, that was really fun because I kind of approached it like, I was like, what's missing from the world? A song that sounds like The Clash mixed with Hall & Oates. I was like, we don't have one of those. So I went ahead and put that together, and that was sort of a very like sort of produced, prior, Summer '78 and 10 Beer Queer were very like raw, minimal production type of joints, and Barn Burner was like completely bonkers. Lots of tracking, lots of production. I actually wrote the song. I just bought it, by the way. I thought I had it already. Oh, okay. Yeah. If you listen to the song, it's actually, the beat is sort of, it's not sampled, but it's sort of ripped from Super Freak by Rick James. Oh, that's awesome. Because I like to, for all you, musicians out there, songwriters, I discovered a fun trick. If I'm just trying to be creative and write new material, I'll go to YouTube and search for isolated drums of like well-known songs. And a lot of times they're just, I don't know how they end up there. Some engineer somewhere stole the stems and uploaded it. And sometimes they sound like shit. Sometimes they're super compressed. But you can find random songs that and it's just the drummer's drums. So you can rip that and then make a little loop just to have something to play along to that isn't like the generic GarageBand beat or some poorly arranged beat from a drum machine I have. And so that was that was sort of how that came together. So thank you, Rick James. Dude, so months ago, I always say this thing when I talk to people on the podcast when I'm talking about songwriting, because like I don't have that part of me, like that I don't hear the sounds. And I was probably was it a year? I'm embarrassed if it's been a year. I don't think it's been a year though. I woke up one day with like this like drum beat in my head. I'm like, I got to do something about this. So I bought a drum machine. Oh, nice. And I never figured out how to make it produce sound, so I just put it away. Okay. So I've got this like, it's pretty decent, I guess, but or according to the guy at Sweetwater who called me 9 times after I looked at it, he's like, he's like the Sweetwater guys is like the one that got away. Like he's just always like, hey, what's up? You up? Yeah. I've gotten text messages. Hey, just thinking about you. What's your credit card number? I was just thinking about you and how much I like hanging out with you. What's your credit card number? I should have never been nice to that guy the first time I talked to him. He's always hitting me up. He's parked. All right, I've bought like 3 things from there over the last 5 years. And like it's like the same guy. He's like, hey. He's parked inside your house right now. Oh, probably. He probably, yeah. You say you say Sweetwater 3 times in a row, and he just kind of pops up, Just checking in. I'm like, oh, he checks in more than like my family does, though. So good old Tim. Yeah. Right on, man. Yeah. So all right. So when were these songs off? So the new album, it's going to be an LP, right? Yeah, it's an LP. It's going to be called Scorpio Rising. Yes, all right, that's what the name was. So I also we're gonna sidebar again. I have the worst time with SoundCloud. I just never know how to use it. Yeah, like, it's weird. So whenever I try to sign in, when it asks me, "Do you want to?" Because I have an account, but like and then whatever I'm trying to listen to is gone. I can't listen to it, so I have to like go back, reopen the link, and then it's like, "Do you want to sign in?" I'm like, "Nope, just want to hear it." So, but no, I checked it out, man. Solid stuff. I love. Can we talk about those songs? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Which one's going to be
the single it drops, by the way?
I don't know.
We don't know yet. Okay.
Could be those the 3 tracks I sent you are the first 3 tracks of the album, and they're like 95% mixed. So yeah, just still figuring out what the sort of the first single will be. And
oh, cool. We're figuring this out together. This is awesome.
It could be one of those, or it could be one of the other ones, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to say like Courthouse Scratches. Right? That's the name,
yeah,
right?
Courthouse Scratchers.
So it like starts and I'm like, oh, tambourine? I'm like, this is such an upbeat song. And the first 3 words are like, shoot me in the head, or first 4 words. I was like, oh.
But it's a very jolly, happy sounding song too.
It really is. All your songs are like that. And I love that. Because they're like hooky as hell. Like it makes you just want to sing along, like start snapping your fingers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, this one was fun because it was sort of, I really wanted to continue the path of not like overproduce, but just dipping my toes in maximalist production, sort of how I did on Barn Burner, but a little bit more organic. So like it's real, it's a real drummer. I mean, my buddy Wyatt played on Barn Burner, but that was more locked to the grid. It was more of a, a arranged, drum track. So. Anyways, yeah, but I really wanted to dive in more, combining my love of like power pop, alt rock, 80s college rock, new wave, goth shit, like just all that kind of stuff bundled together, but sort of about class war. Because you just don't, a lot of those genres are just, end up being like love songs or vaguely poetic or whatever. And I was like, all the shit that we're going through right now, it wasn't a mission statement like day one, but over the course of time, there's that the through line of the album is sort of just class consciousness and all of the bullshit that we're all kind of going through right now as Americans.
Yeah. It's funny when I like hear your songs. So there's something about your songs. First off, like I always know when there's a new Danny Carney Chainsaw Symphony album coming, the quality is going to be top notch. Your songs always sound so crisp.
Thank you.
And then I know I'm going to get like something I enjoy listening to, something that makes you want to bob your head to, something that makes you want to sing along to. But then I get this other thing too, because I don't know if it's because it's like so hooky, like. I'll listen to a song like 4 or 5 times and I'll hear something new,
Yeah.
like with the lyrics. And so like I was before we met up, like I was listening to it again and like Dull Switchblade was on. And then I first time I heard it was with the lyrics. Oh, what was it? Something about you weren't home, so I just went inside or something like that.
Yeah, that verse, that's maybe the funniest verse on the album, and it's like potentially problematic and kind of stalkery, but it just made me laugh so hard because it's rang your doorbell, no one was around, so I'm inside now cuddling your coats, which is so fucking weird. But it made me
stop. I was like, whoa.
It was too funny not to include.
No, I like it. I thought it was funny, too.
I just want to go on record and say I've never done that to someone.
No, never.
Yeah. When you go to work your shift though, I can't promise you I'm not going to be when you get home. I'm not going to be cuddling all your North Face coats. I'm going to be
you and Tim from Sweetwater.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So it's fun. Like your music's fun. It's always fun.
Thanks, man.
Like I know the content, isn't always like, up. You know what I mean? Up, but like it is fun. Your music's always fun to listen to. It really is so catchy that I know like you just start singing to it. You know what I mean? And like, that's something within you. Like that's you writing song. You know what I'm saying? Like I know it's a Danny Carney song. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, I just kind of the simple explanation of what I do is strange pop music. But there's obviously a lot of it's more complex than that. It's like my late 90s Boston punk shit never really goes away. You know what I mean?
No,
like so that shoulder chip's always going to be kind of mixed in there. And obviously I listed all, post punk, new wave, all this stuff that was sort of popular when I was a baby, but that I still really love listening to and I love channeling, but at the end of the day, I just like making weird pop music, and it's kind of a jackass sentiment, but like I'm generally making songs that I wish existed, and although I only mainline them, part of my process is just like listening to them over and over again in like a truly psychotic way. But once it's out, that's kind of over, But there is this sort of, I don't know, it's kind of weirdly narcissistic or whatever, but like while I'm in the creative zone, I am just fucking mainlining it's all I think about. It's just over and over and over again. And sort of not overthinking or overanalyzing, but just, it's like a dense, it's like a dense way to digest the material and the art, and I mean this as it's sort of evolving, not like once it's completely done. I mean during the process of writing, recording, mixing, the whole thing.
Yeah. I think I don't think that's narcissistic though, because like you're getting like, I don't know, you're becoming like I do that with my writing. You know what I mean? Like I'll to the point where like I used to try to write for the perfect draft, and I never finished writing anything. You know what I mean? Because I get so involved in it, and I'm like, no, I need to change this thing. I need to do this. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I call it, I hyperfixate on it. I don't want to say that's what you do because I don't know, but like I get to a point where I'm just like I need to like stop.
Yeah, you got to keep an eye. But like to me, it's some of the funnest part of the process is just it's the the favorite parts of my day are when I'm not thinking about bills and about the world being on fire and billionaire Nazis and stuff like that. I'm thinking about the art that's still evolving, and there's a lot of little like mental gymnastics, I guess, that goes on where if you listening to something over and over and over again, like you'll find out what's sort of sacred about the song at a certain points. Like if you go to change something and it really truly throws you off, then it's like, don't do that. If you go to change something and it feels really good, then it's probably the right move. Yeah,
I agree with that. So when did you start writing these songs for this album?
I would say, so 7 of the 10 tracks are like new songs written for like recently for the album. And 3 are actually like songs that date back a really long time. And they're songs that they came and went, and there was never quite the right time for them on other releases. And they were constantly changing arrangements and stuff like that. And, I maintain that a song should take either 10 minutes or 10 years to write. So, 7 of the songs are new songs that were, that I spent a little bit of time on last year and this year. And then the rest, the other 3 date back a really long time. But I would say I was sort of writing in earnest early 2024. And then I started recording in like August 2024. So I've spent 6 months on this, even though it was only done over the course of probably like 10, maybe 12 days. But it was just done really piecemeal, which was great because I went into it with that mindset. Like I'm going to take my time, which allowed me to sort of spread out and let just kind of like let it all happen organically, and it also allowed me to like it's not cheap doing this shit. So if I wouldn't have been able to just do it all last August. So that was kind of nice. Use the time wisely. Like me and this guy Jordan that I've been recording with, we would have like a double header Saturday Sunday session, and then like he's like, oh, I got to go on tour, so we would be off for a month, but during that month I'd be back home woodshedding on guitar parts and tweaking vocals and stuff like that. So I was able to use that time in between as a positive instead of like just like getting anxious, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So with the 3 songs that were older songs, were they complete, or were you still tweaking them over the years?
One was pretty complete, and actually it's sort of like a comedic eulogy for Roll the Tanks, my old band. We had sort of become very self-referential as a band, like we had a lot of songs about being a band, which is which is a vibe, you know. And so there's a song called Martha's Boys on the album, and that's kind of that's that song. It wasn't written for Roll the Tanks, but it was sort of written shortly after we stopped playing. And that more or less, that was a pretty that one was pretty much written. It was more of like finding a vibe for it. Like the tempo never felt right, or I would change the key a few times, but the lyrics were pretty much set in stone, and then it was just like little things. There's one of the songs that I sent you, Stuck Under Waves. That song, I've never put a song more through the ringer than that one. Just like 18 billion million different arrangements and lyrics and chopping stuff up and stealing stuff from other abandoned songs, and just it's a song that should never have seen the light of day, because you know, typically when you find yourself with a song like that, it's like it's the gods being like, this isn't the one. Like this shouldn't be a fucking song, you know. But like there was something about it that I just couldn't let go of, and then it honestly finally fell together during the making of this album. And it's funny though, because even during the making, like I completely changed the verse chords and the verse melody and lyrics at a certain point, and so like it was still going through extreme changes even during the making of it. So anyways, I'm kind of blabbering, but then there was a third song called Crook of Love, which you haven't heard yet, and that's the album closer, and that one's been kind of kicking around forever too. And that one, again, it was just the lyrics have been the same forever, and I just couldn't find the right kind of groove, tempo, the key. I changed the key a bunch of times. I actually recorded a version of it when I did Summer of '78, the acoustic record, and it just wasn't working. So it's the one song that I just bailed. I bailed on that version of it, and then it finally found its way. And it's crazy though too, because for a song that has been kicking around for so long, and where the lyrics are actually intact from what they originally were, it sounds extremely timely. Like it sounds like I wrote it about the last fucking 17 days living on Earth. Like it's
right.
So it worked out.
When you have a song like that, or a song like Stuck Under Waves, where it's taken you like years to figure it out, like is it a sense of accomplishment when it's done, or is it relief, or is it just like anger because you couldn't figure it out before? You know what I mean?
I think definitely relief and an accomplishment. Yeah, I mean the frustration would have been if I had to bail on it again, you know, because it would always kind of like bum me out or rub me the wrong way, and so I just feel I'm like really happy for the actual song. I'm like, you did it.
Yeah,
You figured your shit out. You know what I mean? You fucking matter, bro.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think about, because like I've had writing projects that like some take years, and I'm like, one, because you know I was always writing the wrong way. I wasn't writing for a first draft. I was always writing for the final draft, right? But like one, I realized recently, I think while I was talking to somebody on the podcast, that like it was the last project I finished was actually that one. Just I redid it and I didn't realize it until it was over. You know, and it's the same structure, like same story, kind of going home kind of thing. But I changed a ton of it between the first time when I first started writing it and then now. And like I'm like, oh shit. You know what I mean? So I'm like, so it's like, it's kind of like I finished two projects at that point. Cause like, I'm like, I don't have to, like the other one is just, I mean, maybe one day, but like, I see no need for it. Cause this is my going home story now. Like the other one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they took huge turns away from each other. So I was just like, that's why I didn't really think of it as one project until I was kind of had this moment, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, it can drive you crazy along the way, but it's a really great feeling when it all kind of comes together. You know who kind of saved the day on that Stuck Under Waves song without their knowledge is do you know Waltham, the band?
No.
Okay, the Pino brothers, Dave and Frank.
Are they from Waltham?
Yes,
Massachusetts.
Very much.
Oh,
so.
Okay. Yeah.
they're the kings of Waltham. But they played in a band together called Waltham for a long time in like mostly in like the late 90s, early aughts, and fantastic, sort of like Rick Springfield meets Van Halen. I mean, just fucking dynamite music. You ask Lind about Waltham. He'll yeah, I know. Lind's another Waltham head, but yeah, I never intentionally rip anyone off, but sometimes if I'm really like sort of lost or stuck in a rut on how to move forward, I can say like, what would Cheap Trick do, or what would what would the Clash do? And in this instance, I was like, what would Dave and Frank do in Waltham? And the reason I can do that is because it never comes out. It never really sounds like, you know what I mean? Like that's arguably a secret weapon of mine, is like, if I tried to write an Aerosmith song, it would sound like fucking Katy Perry. Like it gets lost in translation. So I can lean in to a flavor of inspiration, and it sort of abstracts in a way that usually pans out well.
Now, are we looking at the whole album's going to be typical Danny Carney songs? Like if it's over 3 minutes, it's too long.
I kind of tried to the when I first started kind of manically putting out solo stuff, what's coming up on like 5 years ago. I was making a point to be like, fuck songs that are longer than 2.5 minutes, which I still sort of like fundamentally agree with.
You told me that, and I was like, oh.
But I got over time, I kind of got that out of my system, and so now that I'm feeling the sweet spot to be more like 3.5, which is, in the grand scheme of things, still a pretty like concise song length. But
dude, I bought an album. It's an EP. And it's double 33s, like that's how long it is.
Oh wow.
It's like 6 songs, and it's ridiculously, they're like 12-minute songs.
Is it the band Fucked Up?
No, it's this metal band. I can't remember the name. I think they're from France. Okay. It was like, it's so good though. Like it's definitely a vibe though. Like when you listen to songs that long, like there's a specific vibe they're giving, and you need to be in that headset to listen to it. Right. So
I hit the 30 minute mark on the total length too, which I haven't done.
Holy shit.
The last time I hit that was like 2014. I was sitting pretty at like 25 minutes for these last couple of releases, But it's also 10 songs instead of 8. I was doing 8 for a while because, you like anytime you're listening to like ELO or fucking Metallica, you're just like, there's fucking 8 songs in here. What am I, breaking the bank doing 10 songs for? So the last couple albums were, I think 8, but back to 10.
Right on. I wanted to ask you, I don't think I've ever asked you this. How long was it after Roll the Tanks that you started to write music again?
I never stopped.
Did you stop?
But
what about releasing?
I certainly stopped releasing. I mean, the Roll the Tank sort of was winding down at the end of 2014. And then, so 2015, 2016, 2017, those years are kind of my wilderness years. My mom passed away during that time, and I was always writing, but I didn't feel compelled to play live or to record or to release anything. And so it's not like, a lot of that time is sort of, just they weren't some of the not the best years or whatever, but I mean, I have to thank the if it wasn't for COVID and fucking the Orange Monster Man, like I don't know if I would have kicked into gear, because it was sort of a survival sort of a survival thing, I mean, I released those for like Songs of Clowns Hate and Blizzard were like done in the same year. It was like I was out of my mind, but I certainly think it saved me in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I got both of those through Mark, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think those were both Record Club. By the way, you didn't have a Record Club last time I was on the show, so
yeah.
Kudos to that, and good on you for taking it over. And I know it's a lot of work, so good for you, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. I'm trying to keep it alive, man. That's all. I wanted to keep a good thing going.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for saying that. Now I'm all like, I lost my train of thought because you could.
You were. We were talking about Songs of Clowns Hate and.
Oh yeah. So I mean, so it was a few there's and you kind of had to like fight or flight mode, it looks like, right? Everything was going to shit, and you're like, all right, this is how I'm going to have to combat this, right?
Yeah, but I also just, as soon as I sort of established, my solo, as a solo act, that dates back to 2002. I put out a record in 2002 and another one in 2003, and the one from 2003 is actually up streaming now. It's called Cattle Tragedy. So that's kind of it's sort of a glimpse into, it's even though I jumped from 2003 to 2020, it's like you can see it makes sense.
That's the one with the cowboy cover thing, right?
That's the one. Yeah, it's the music isn't so much cowboy.
No.
But yeah, I have a cowboy hat on, which was sort of a joke. But yeah, I'm holding up the guitar on it. Yeah.
Yeah, you put out so many albums. It's hard for me to remember all the names, Danny. I know. I was saying something. I did something on my story for Blizzard of '82, and someone was like, "What the fuck?" they're like, "I thought it was '78." I'm like, "It was, but not in this timeline." Okay.
Yeah,
not in the Carney universe.
And I was actually thinking about this morning. It's been kind of nice to kind of, now that I've released a bunch of stuff, like, there's sort of like, there are kind of like cousin releases, songs that Clowns Hate and Blizzard of '82 had this kind of like mixtape vibe where the sonically it's all over the place. And then, Bagels is a compilation of unreleased material, but that was certainly a continuation of that in a way. But then, Summer of '78 and 10 Beer Queer were both, like I said earlier, very much like more disciplined with parameters and sort of a singular vibe on both of those. And then what's been nice is this new album is sort of a mix of all that stuff. So it's a little bit back to the mixtape thing where, it's not the same snare drum on every song. It's not the same, we had some fun with the production, but it is unified, and it is still, the foundation of it is the songs, it's not just.
Did you play a couple shows since the last time you were on?
No, I'm still trying to.
I thought you played like a solo thing one night. No,
I'm still trying to rally. I do want to play again. It's just I just owe it to whoever I would be playing to really want to do it, and so some of it's like weirdo anxiety kind of nerve stuff, and also as time goes on, it just gets it's a tougher and tougher sell. But I will say, since moving to San Diego in 2023, the scene here is like, it's very cozy, and it reminds me actually a lot more of like Boston as opposed to LA. And it's very communal and very positive, and so the idea of playing out again and doing it in San Diego, which is, I've played here as a non-San Diegan or whatever, but it's a lot more appealing in a way, and less daunting. So, and the Jordan, the producer I've been working with, who played drums on the album, sort of hinted that he'd be down to play it out live. So that's like, once you got a drummer, then you're like, fuck, now I got to do it, because that's its own, that's a difficult thing.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if is Recess Records in San Diego. I
think they're San Pedro. I think.
Oh, okay.
That's like the FYP. That's like
yeah. Toys That Kill. Yeah.
I think San Pedro, but I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah. I don't understand California at all. People tell me there's some place, and I think it's close to another. It's a New England mentality, of course.
Sure.
But I'm like, wait, what? You're how many hours away? Yeah. That's awesome, man. And is there going to be physical release for this upcoming one?
Yeah, it'll be digital and a cassette.
Cassette?
Yeah, so giving my wallet a break on the old vinyl. I wish they could all be on vinyl. I wish they could all be California Girls, but it's expensive, and I sort of, because I stretched out a little bit on the production here, I kind of I sort of put what would have gone to vinyl into the production, and so I feel good about that choice, and I really love. There's never been a release of mine that makes more sense on cassette than this one, because it is, like I said, I know it's such a lame sounding genre, saying like 80s college rock, that just sounds like fucking a beige wall, but but within that category, there's stuff, and a lot of that stuff when I listen to it, I'm listening to it on cassette, and so I'm just excited because, again, I wish it was on cassette and vinyl, but if it had to be on one, it honestly makes more sense on cassette. Just this particular release.
Are you doing anything for like? Are you gonna have like the J card, the accordion J card, and everything? Or?
I could, but I don't. I just don't. I'm not gonna print lyrics because I'm an asshole. And then, it's just a one card. But it wouldn't have cost much more to do the accordion, and I just didn't want it to be like, nothing. So it's just a couple of credits. It's kind of like the bagel. It's pretty similar to bagels, which
to bagels. Yeah. I think I have everything of yours that's on physical media. I believe.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're on a short.
Yeah. You even roll the tank. I have to confess something to you, and I hope you don't get upset. I know you haven't lived in Massachusetts in years, like decades, right?
Yeah. Well, it'll be 20 years in May.
Yeah. But you are from here, so. And I have Roll the Tanks in my local section of my records, so I put you with that. I put Danny Carney Chainsaw Symphony in my local section.
Yeah, that's totally cool with me. I mean, I still got mad love for back east, and we were very much like, I mean, we were all from the Merrimack Valley. We were definitely like an East Coast band living somewhere else.
I've been fighting with people about putting Talking Heads in my local section because they met at RISD, and
that's a stretch.
I think Michael Caine has been the biggest protest of that.
Yeah,
with me. But I just saw an article that the RISD Museum has like their demo reel because that's where they made it. So
all right,
they might go. It doesn't. They're too big of a band to hit the local section anyway. But like Dropkick Murphys aren't in the locals anymore. They're in the mainstream band stuff that I have.
That makes sense.
I have the most ridiculous way of organizing my records. It's like I use labels, and it's like a Dewey Decimal Point system, and I have a book. So like the problem is like I couldn't figure out a way to do a physical book. And like, what if I have, a new record for like you, or you know what I mean? So how am I gonna put that in the book? So it's just everything gets a tag with a number. So you could be in the back of the book, but you're still gonna have the same number as the stuff up front. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that. I like the devotion to that. And I think I was hearing you talk on one of the recent episodes about that you, anytime you listen to a record now, you date the day the last time you listened to it. That's really cool.
Yeah, I have index cards in them, and and the reason why, who taught me that, there's Goldmine magazine, which is like this vinyl record magazine's been around since the 70s, I think.
Yeah.
And they have a guy, they call him Dr. Disc, and he goes undercover like record store reviews. He was on the podcast and he taught me that. So I was like, oh, that's such a good idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So cool.
Yeah. So I started doing that. Now sometimes I might have a stack of records that I'm like, I got to put an index card in here, and my ADHD brain went somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, now I just got to re-listen to this stack again, so I can put a date on it.
There you go.
But I'm trying, man. I'm trying to get organized. It's funny because like I did like 5 records when I first started doing doing the decimal system, and then I didn't do anything. And then one night I did 240 records.
Oh wow!
So I was like, I'm either nothing or everything,
Yeah.
And I have to update like my indie records. I have more like independent music than I do like mainstream, but I still have to do all like my mainstream ones too, which isn't a whole lot. I just don't care enough about those.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Right.
I care about like the Danny Carney albums and the Drowns albums. And you know what I mean? I care about all that stuff more. So the other ones are just sitting underneath. I don't even like, they're like over there somewhere, but whatever. Yeah. I'm crazy, so I need to do these crazy little things. Yeah.
You're in good company.
So, all right. So you moved to San Diego in 2 years ago. Jesus Christ, 2 years ago. It's been that long since we talked. And we've talked about what you do for work before.
Yes.
But like, have you Emmys before?
Well, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, your projects you worked on, right? So
Yeah, when I worked on Robot Chicken years back, and I was a operations assistant, I think, and I have a little certificate from that. So, the show I worked on, had won an Emmy, and then the show I've been working on, we won 5 Emmys at the News and Doc Emmys last year. So that was really cool.
And then, did you win some?
I got a couple. Got a couple of statues.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How come you didn't tell me that when I was like, your show won 5 Emmys? That's so awesome. You didn't be like, hey, I got 2 too. I got 2 also.
I get a little bashful about it, I guess, and then I also am just I'm more always worried about sort of the cringe factor of bragging, and then but also too like I do.
Can I brag for you?
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Like I said, you're going on the resume.
Tell
dude.
all your aunties, you're like my boys. But I love I love doing music, and I love making TV and movies and documentaries and all that stuff too. So they're kind of 2 different worlds, obviously. But yeah, no, I mean I'm so proud of all the work, all the hard work that was put into to winning them, and yeah, we'll see how we do this year at the coming up again.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, yeah, when I saw that, I was blown away. And then I think Mark had said something, and Mark must have been the one that told me that you actually won 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, the show won 5, and I guess I just didn't quite get, like, I didn't realize that. Yeah. What were they for? What categories? Can we talk about it? Or
they really quick, I had sent Mark excuse me. I had sent Mark a picture of me holding the 2 statues the day that I got them, because I was wearing a Pinkerton Thug T-shirt, which was just just hysterical, like but also
Yes, it is.
but also it's the shirt that he printed, So
Yeah.
so I sent it to him, and I sent it to Ken Reed for similar reasons, but
yeah.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm spacing on the categories. There was a lot of they're really long categories, but some of them won for like cinematography and lighting, and others won for certain episodes in certain categories. But yeah, I mean, we had 20 nominations, which was bananas, and
Holy shit!
yeah, and we took home 5, so very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And how long have you been working on that show?
5 years. Yeah, and
Has that been like your longest run of a show?
Kinda, yeah. I guess for it to be in the past, I've worked on multiple projects at once, and so this has been more of a singular thing. But yeah, I mean, it's been a good run, and we're currently finishing the season 5, which will be the series finale. So yeah.
Oh wow, it's coming to an end.
Yeah. So yeah, season 5. I think it's. I'm probably not supposed to say, but it's going to be airing later this year.
Yeah. All right. We'll go away from that. Wait, how did you get into like just working in film?
So my senior year of high school, I took a TV production class sort of on a whim, and my high school, Lowell High, which is I think for a long time was either the biggest or the second biggest high school in Massachusetts. It's like 5,000 students, and we had a ridiculously nice TV studio that I think they installed it in the late 90s. And so my senior year in like 2000, 2001, I took this TV production class, and it was just awesome. I just clicked with it, and I learned a ton. And then I didn't really like study that in college, or my attempt at college. But I sort of a few years later found myself out in LA, and I was interested in general in working in like entertainment. Like I wanted to do music. I wanted to do it all. And so I did what most people do, and I became a PA, and I, busted ass, and then it just sort of took off from there, And I didn't work in production at all at the sort of the height of Roll the Tank. So I took a good like 4 or 5 years off where I mean, it's not like music wasn't paying the bills necessarily, but I was focused enough on music that work was like an afterthought. And so I would just worked a bunch of like, ragtag shithead jobs, during that time to pay the bills.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, you're doing it all, and you're doing it all very well.
Thank you, man.
Very well. Yeah, man. That's awesome. That's so good. So back to the album.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a release date yet or no, not yet?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do April Fool's. Which is
that way, if it doesn't happen, you can be like, April Fool's.
Well, I haven't announced anything yet, and I think I will have already mentioned it online, by the time this airs. But
okay.
But yeah, like, I mean, it just seemed like it was around the time that I wanted to release anyways, and then it's on a Tuesday, which used to be the release day.
Drop Tuesday. I miss Drop Tuesday.
Well, and I like the Friday shift because it's just Fridays are great and it's like a better vibe, but also because it's kind of a throwback record in a lot of ways, I thought it could be kind of cute to release it on a Tuesday, which happens to be April Fool's. And then there's a song on it called Psyched Fools. So I was like, it just kind of naturally happened that way. I think it'll be April Fool's, April 1st.
That's awesome. I do have something I have to bring up, and you got me worried, Danny, because you would hit me up and you're like, "Hey, I didn't realize you were releasing new episodes of the podcast." And I was like, "Really?"
Yeah, I feel bad. Well, and
I don't want you to feel bad, but like now I'm like worried that like people didn't hear the message that's in the beginning of every one of those episodes. So I'm like, what do I do about that? Because what happened was this: like we removed the podcast to the website, right? And like a lot of these like platforms that put out the podcast, they cap you at 300.
Yeah,
and then you got to and then they'll start deleting stuff, right? So I figured, I'm like, we're at 250. Why don't I just stop it there, keep it, so I have that thing running still. That way people can go back and look. Because I don't want people not to hear the first episodes with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I keep the archive open.
Yeah.
And then I just start everything fresh from there. And like I like did everything I thought I did a lot to try to like tell everybody. And at first, and honestly, for a while there, I don't think people were catching on. So, but when you told me, I was like, "Oh no!"
Well, and I mean, like it's like the Anxious and Angry podcast. Like they'll just dip out for a couple months, like probably like when they go on tour, which makes sense. But like a lot of times, like one time, I think that they had dipped out for a couple months, and I sort of unfollowed the podcast, and then I think they started again, and I had no idea. So I follow a lot of podcasts, and so
no, you know what though? I think he did the same. I think he. Something happened with like, I think the same kind of thing happened where like he had to start a new feed. I think that's why, because I had to refollow him too. And I think he mentioned it on one of the episodes. I love that you messaged me or you were like, was that your episode was that your topic?
Well, yeah. What was it? I knew I had a feeling it was you. And then what was the term? It was like
white trash moments or
Yankee,
favorite,
like a swamp Yankee.
Swamp Yankee. Yeah.
Rich. I love that.
That's what my grandfather said we were. Like when I was like, I remember doing a project for school, and I was like, oh, okay, so like. My one grandfather was like, we're Italian. One of my grandmothers was like, we're Portuguese. And I asked my other grandfather, he's like, Swamp Yankee. I'm like, what is that? So it's like, it's just a term for a hillbilly from Maine.
It's a great, it gets a lot done with 2 words. It's very, very nice.
Yeah. So, it's funny. This is my little not humble. It's not. I'm not being humble while I'm bragging. When you type, I typed in like, so I had to refollow, like I said, their podcast, Ryan's podcast, and when I typed it in, the archive, the Struggling Artist Archive, is the second thing next to Anxious and Angry, and I'm like, hey, that works. But yeah, so I had to change the feed and everything, and like I said, I didn't want to. To take 250 episodes and put them on my website would have been insane.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do that. So I know how to do what I do now with it. So, but yeah, so I just like kept the archive because like, again, there's some really good podcasts from like the early days that, and sometimes some of the guests don't come back. Right.
Well, and I felt like an idiot because I was like, I think I assumed you were on a break or something. And then I think subconsciously I was seeing that you were posting about new episodes. So like I don't know what I thought I just
right. No, I got you. Yeah. No, it's fine. I have not missed a Monday since I want to say like November of 2020.
Damn, man.
Yeah. Again, we're going back to like I'm kind of crazy. You know what I mean? And then we have like our Friday episodes. We have one that's I have 3 episodes that drop once a month. So that's 3 weeks a month that get new episodes. And then I got two other cut types of episodes that like whenever I just drop them whenever, like little bonuses. But yeah,
I'm always curious about like stockpiling, you know, like because I'm sure it's a good feeling to have a bunch in the bank, you know.
Yeah, well, so the Friday episodes are all like different. They're basically different podcasts, but right. I'm like, I already have this one feed, so I just this is the flagship show what we're doing now. And then everything else is just like Friday shows. But I do
the recap and the
the recap and then the turntable and then which so then I started doing one called The Underground Noise last year, and I did a few episodes, but it's a lot of work. And I kept asking like, hey bands, send me like if you have a new release, let me know. I'll mention it on this thing. And it's like it would take me 8 hours. From like start to like from researching, like it's MTV News basically was what I was doing. It would take me like 8 hours from researching to editing this thing, and it's like a 6-minute episode. So I was like, I just don't have the time to do this. So Arya from Coffin Salesman was interested, and I was like, if you want to do it, dude, if you need help finding stuff, I'll help you. You record it, send it to me, I'll edit it, and then that'll be it.
Yeah, I was listening to the most recent episode the other day. It's really good.
Yeah, it's been a breeze. He likes doing it. I'm like, cool, man. Welcome to the team. I'm like, this is yours now.
And I was listening to the new to the episode with Chris about the 716 new thing. Will that be on the same feed?
No, he's got his own channel for that. Yeah.
You'll have to ask him for me about. I got a funny sort of Buffalo tidbit. I got love for Buffalo. I played at Mohawk Place a few times, which I understand just closed down, which I was bummed to hear. Definitely blew a spark plug out in Buffalo before, stranded on the side of the road, 8 degrees. That was fun. But so this is super random, but the Goo Goo Dolls are from Buffalo, and there's a clip. This is just for everybody, but obviously especially for Chavez. There's a clip that you can find very easily on YouTube. I want to say it's from like 2004. And it's them playing that Iris song, like the big song that was in the big movie. It's kind of a ballad. Oh yeah. And it's a hometown show in Buffalo at this big outdoor venue, and I think it's they're closing out the show, so it's the encore, and it's raining at the start of the clip. It's raining, so they had been like sort of playing in the rain, but you get the impression that it was kind of like compounded drizzle, if you will. So not ideal for an outdoor show, but they're like whatever. It's kind of there's some built-in glory to it, right? And then you watch it just throughout the song. It's just fucking downpouring. And it is the most like, you have to see it for to get what I'm saying. But it is like, I'm not like a Goo Goo Dolls fan. Like I'm like whatever. Like I'm neutral on them. Their early stuff's actually really cool because they were like kind of like Replacements vibe. And I don't hate on the top 40 stuff. I mean, some of those songs kind of hold up, but like it's just it's hysterical because of how glorious it is. Like I've never seen more like raw glory in anywhere ever. Like they're just the whole crowd is losing their fucking minds, and they should have been electrocuted 7 ways to Sunday. Like it's just but then of course, so I watch YouTube on my TV all the time, so now the algorithm thinks I'm a fucking like Goo Goo Dolls head, because it's like if I've had like 3 Guinness and that pops up, it's like I'm watching it. Like I watch that shit like fucking 5 times a week if I have to. Anything to stay alive. But anyways, make sure he's seen that, and make sure and make sure everyone that you've ever met sees it as well.
No doubt. All right, man. Hey, man, this was a lot of fun, dude. Thanks for coming back on. You don't ever have to like if you don't put out an album in a year, you can still come back, dude. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it, man. Yeah,
you can come back next week if you want.
My phone's not exactly ringing off the hook for press opportunities, so I genuinely appreciate you always having me back, and appreciate what you do.
Yeah, awesome. Where can people find you? on the socials?
they-
Are you around?
Yeah, I'm still kicking around. I mean, Facebook, fuck that. What a weird ass zone that is. But yeah, I'm still on Instagram. Sadly, that's probably going to have to end sooner than I want it to because it's the only one I've sort of maintained. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe Zuckerberg will get hit by a bus and everything will be fine. But yeah, I'm still on Instagram, and then I'm on Blue Sky, Threads.
Yeah, are you? Okay, I'll find you over there.
Yeah, we got to figure out Blue Sky because I don't think any Nazis own it. So I think that could be it. But it's just the same as all the other. They're all the fucking same. You know, we just all have to go over there. Until fucking Mr. Burns from The Simpsons buys it, and then we have to find a new one. But yeah, I'm on those ones, and then I'm certainly not on Twitter or whatever the fuck that is now. And if you go to my Instagram, there's a Linktree link, so you can go, find my YouTube page and my web shop, and links to the album streaming and all that stuff. So,
you know what? I want to talk about something before you got time.
Yeah.
I completely spaced on the Scorpio Rising album cover.
Oh yeah, which you other than my wife and the producer, I think, and the photographer who took it, you're the only other person who's seen it.
Yeah, tell me about this thing.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
Pretty crazy. I mean, people will see it soon enough, but it's a wet plate photograph, so it's like the old timey photographs from like the early 1900s,
like the big box.
Yeah,
things?
like where he had to get under the curtain.
Yeah. Okay,
and it's an actual plate with like a lip on it, almost like the temporary ice skating rinks where there'll be just like a lip on the edge. So it's like a 5x7 little plate with a lip, and the whole process was crazy. It's this guy, Conrad Young, who's super rad. He's in Oceanside, and I just found him on Instagram. And anyways, I'm kind of butchering the story, but basically I followed this guy on Instagram. He does this very specific type of old-timey wet plate photography. And there was this one picture of like what looked like a little kid with this crazy skull mask on and kind of doing the like Misfits, hand thing.
Yeah.
And I hit him up and I was like, hey, can I license this photograph of you like for my album? It's just so cool and so striking. And I was like, and he was like, yeah, we'll figure something out. And this was just on the DM. And then I was like, it looks like it might be a kid. So obviously I would want to get permission from the kid and or the kid's parents. And it turned out to be his kid. And it was just his Halloween mask. And he was like, took this picture. And so he was down to license it, but he's like, I still have the mask. He's like, so why don't you come up to Oceanside and we'll just recreate it with you? And I was like, well, now we're talking. Now we're getting somewhere. So it was very cool. I mean, he's just got a little setup in his garage, and then he's got like a short bus in his driveway, and that's his dark room. And
wow,
it was just so fucking cool. I roll up, he's got like a fucking leather apron on, and like he was like allowing me to sort of watch the process, which was really cool. So it's like we go from his garage to the little bus, and he goes in there and he pours the shit in the plate, and then we have to wait 5 minutes, and then we set the whatchamacallit, I'm drawing a blank on the clarity, the fucking focus. Sorry, the focus. And then he's like, do not move for the next 5 minutes. So I'm standing there, sitting there in a styrofoam mask in a dark garage, just totally frozen still. And then what's crazy is that like, I think the camera was from like 1906 and the lens is from like the 1870s, literally.
What?
And so it's there's one shot. Like, we had one opportunity to take one photo, which was, if you've ever, I mean, having been in a band where you like do press photos and it's just like, all right, 7 hours, 18,000 options. And it's brutal, absolute brutality. So this is the far end of the spectrum for that. And so it came out awesome, and I couldn't be happier with it. And
were you afraid these devices were going to like steal your soul? That's like horror movie world. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be a ghost behind you or something in the
Well, and it's so funny though, because it truly was like the whole setup and the gear and his skill set. Like it's such a magical vibe because like, I'm wearing like a dorky Magnum PI, like almost like a Hawaiian shirt, and it looks like chainmail in the photo. Like everything just looked and like the mask itself was like this like
It doesn't look like you at all.
It's like
it doesn't look like your eyes or anything.
Yeah,
you know?
it was great. I mean, I'll send you a digital pic that I took on set, because you'll see like how lame the mask. Like when you see the actual mask, you're like, oh, it's like a mic. You know, somebody made this at Michael's in 10 minutes. You know, and so it was a really cool experience, and that's completely unaffected. The one my buddy Chris added the font and stuff like that, but there's no color correction, nobody. That's exactly what the photograph looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked.
I just realized you can see it in the reflections. I'm going to have to black out this. But when I released the video, I went to black out like the yellow record or the Ducky Boys record, because I was looking at it. I can see it in the reflections. So
what do you mean?
I'll black. So I just had it up.
Oh, I don't care. That's fucking cool. By the time this comes out, I'll probably post the album.
Oh, okay. All right. You see, look at the Ducky Boys album.
Look at that Secret Snowman shit. That's like the ghost. It's like the Ghost in 3 Men and a Baby.
Yeah.
Except it's me.
Yeah. Dude, it's awesome, man. And so this is the first time. Is this the first time? No. You've been on the cover of one of your albums before.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the cover as a child in Songs That Clowns Hate, and then I think that's and I'm kind of in Bagels, but my head is a bagel, so you know.
Right. What about the Waves one? Wasn't right? Are you what was the one that was like old songs that you put out?
Oh yeah, Bagels. That was Bagels. Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of another one here.
Cattle Tragedies. Yeah, we were talking about earlier. That was the one.
Cattle Tragedies, and then I thought there was one more that was like old songs that you put out.
Raw Safety. Yep, you're right. You're totally right.
Raw Safety.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that was. I forgot about that.
Does it have a wave in the background? Yeah, it does. It has a wave in the background.
Yeah, I was on a boat. I was on a.
Oh,
boat.
Really?
Yeah, I was shit faced. That was in like 2007.
Look at that hair.
Yeah. I was not playing around. And you can see my name tag says Champ, because that was I was at like a work thing, and so everyone at the time called me Champ. So.
Nice.
I always forget about that EP. I'm glad I resurrected it and put it out, because nobody heard it when I first put it out. I just did like, this was at the time of like CDRs, so I think I pressed like 10 copies and just like gave them to the only my 10 friends.
Right on, man. Danny, thanks for coming back on. Like I said, the door's always open. Congratulations on the awards, winning the awards. Congratulations on the move. Congratulations. What else do I got? Congratulations on the new record coming out. Yeah, man. Like I can't wait to hear the whole thing.
Thank you.
Because whenever I listen, I do this all the time with the storyteller in me. When I hear a whole record, like I get this like, oh, this is what this is doing, but I know you do it. Like there's always reasons for the way you track stuff. One time I couldn't figure it out, and then Chris figured it out for me. He was like, oh, they're just in alphabetical order. I'm like, oh. So I think that was Bagels,
Bagels,
right?
Yeah. and that was like, I think it was just because I had sent them to the mastering dude, and so he sent them back in alphabetical order, and I was like, well, this works. It really does.
Yeah.
It really did.
It does work. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like so. There's always I know there'll be something behind it. So. Yeah, man, that was cool. Door's always open to you, bud.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, and
we'll talk to you.
All right, thanks, Trev. Talk soon.
All right, and that's the show. I want to thank Danny again for being today's guest on the Struggling Artist Podcast. In the show notes, you will find all links to Danny, Carney, Chainsaw, Symphony. I want to thank the producers of the podcast, Jeff Bousquet, Chris Chavez, and Aria Rad. Go follow them on Instagram, Jeff at JRBimage, Chris at 716 The Sound, and Aria at Coffin Salesman. Thank you to Mark at State Line Records for being sponsors of the podcast, doing what he does over there. Go see what he's got going on. StatelineRecords.com. Thank you to the band Losers Circle for always allowing us to use their song, The Great Illusion of Time, off of their album Took Long Enough as the theme song to the podcast. I love you, fellas. You can always find a link to their album in our link tree or on our website. Go pick that one up. It's really good. Everybody over at Patreon supporting us. Thank you so much. Your contributions do not go unnoticed. Thank you to everyone over there. We wouldn't be able to do some of the cool things we do without you, and I hope you love all the content that's over on Patreon. If you want to become a patron, patreon.com/podcast TSA. Thank you to everyone who listens to the podcast. I say it a million times, without you guys, we wouldn't be here. In the last year, to see how big our numbers have gotten, I'm so grateful. That means you guys are listening and you're sharing the show and all that stuff, and I really appreciate you for doing that. If you want to reach out, Trev at thestrugglingartistpodcast.com. Reach out to me if you want to get booked on the show, or if you have a suggestion to book someone on the show, or if you just want to give us some feedback. I'd love to hear it. You can also text or call 774-570-1552. That is the Struggling Artist Hotline. Again, 774-570-1552. All right, it's time to get out of here with a song. Danny was kind enough to give us a song to debut off of his upcoming album, Scorpio Rising. The song is called Dull Switchblade. Until next week, take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you then.